All right, we are joined by a very special guest for the third time, Mr. David Feherty. Welcome to our new studio, sir.
Yeah, congratulations. You guys have come a long way since the last time I was here.
So you might not know this, but you are in the intro of our show.
I am.
And you say, congratulations on all that you guys are doing, as mediocre as it is.
Which is a great way to describe us.
Yeah.
That's from a few years ago, so we appreciate it. We're aware that you're very busy, so we appreciate you taking the time. We've, of course, got the Open Championship coming up in next week, pretty much. Royal Portrush. You're, from Northern Ireland originally. You know a lot more about it than we do. What can people expect next week?
Well, I think they can expect really a spectacular event. I'd be very surprised if one of the Northern Irish guys doesn't get into contention. Specifically Rory McIlroy. He's the one that has been in form, and it's his home golf course. So, the tournament's sold out in a matter of days. The first time that's ever happened, and the local support will be just overwhelmingly colossal for Rory. A great deal of pressure on him. It's a golf course that he knows well. It's an exquisite golf course. I was there 3 weeks ago and to shoot some promos for NBC, and the visitors and members have been playing off of mats for the best part of the last year. There isn't a divot in sight. It's like velvet.
Mats on the whole course.
Mats. Yeah, well, not on the tees because you can hit it off a tee, but
right.
Yeah, mats.
That's incredible. So how big of a favorite would you say Rory McIlroy is?
Well, I'm not sure that he would be a bookmaker's favorite. He's certainly a crowd favorite. There's no question about that. But, John Rahm has just won the Irish, which is terrific preparation. I think he's playing in the Scottish as well, which I go to tonight. It's also an NBC event. And then you get Brooks Koepka, of course, and your big guys, the big guns. But having said that, it's not really a golf course that favors the long hitters. It's someone who can mold themselves to a slope. It's a golf course where there's barely a flat lie out there, and I think it'll suit someone who's used to links golf, maybe a veteran, even somebody like Ricky Fowler, who is actually a veteran, as young as he is. I don't know. I've got a feeling about Ricky next week.
How crazy is that to think that Ricky's like a veteran out there now?
I know, yeah.
Been out there for a long time.
Yeah.
So 68 years it's been since the Open's been in Northern Ireland. How much does it mean? Let's pretend like we're ignorant Americans who don't know anything. That's
not difficult.
What is it?
As I say,
you just put that right on a platter.
Are we really pretending, right?
That was
that
the
one
whole
up.
point.
Yeah.
You ding. Anyways.
Also, we're being ignorant.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we just don't know. Like, ignorant. We just don't know.
I know.
We don't know anything
That's
about
true.
it.
We're looking to gain information.
Correct. We're looking for information. How much does this mean to the people, to the locals, to the local community to have the tournament come back?
It's huge. The province has been through a lot. I was born in 1958 and grew up in what we call the Troubles. There, riots on the street, roadblocks, soldiers everywhere, bombs, sectarian murders. And I worked at Balmoral Golf Club, which was in the centre, really, of the war zone in Belfast for a couple of years. The clubhouse was blown up, as were many clubhouses in the province, because, it was just protection money. Many of these people that were involved in this strife, they were just common criminals.
Right.
And you find that anywhere where there's political fighting, you'll find there's people that take advantage of the situation. There was a great deal of that in Northern Ireland, but we've come a long way in the last 20 years since the Good Friday Agreement in 1998. Where there was kind of a truce. Having said that, there is still an undercurrent there. Having been there recently and visited the Peace Wall, we have a wall in Belfast. It's about 11 kilometres long and about 80 feet high. So, and ironically, it works. And it's still necessary. Security is a concern. But having said that, I think I can't think of a sporting event these days anywhere in the world where security isn't a concern.
Yep, absolutely. So who would be the best hurler?
Hurler
From professional golfers.
Wow. You know, I'm not sure if Padraig Harrington wasn't a hurler. There's a lot of the guys, especially from the south, that would have been into hurling at an earlier age. I was into hurling, but it was usually before I teed off.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I understand, you've done and you're going to be doing a few different pieces that'll come out on, different parts of the North Irish culture, and hurling was part of that. So
Yes.
explain a little bit more about the game, because I witnessed it one time. I think it came to Fenway Park in the Boston area, and we witnessed it, and it was
It's wild.
wild.
Yeah, it's basically if you put a number of Neanderthals on a grass field with clubs, that they might have used to beat a dinosaur to death with, and you throw a ball into the middle of them and watch it turn into a riot.
And just kind of see what happens.
Yes, that's what it looks like. It's incredibly skillful though and very fast.
Wow.
I mean, that's spot on, because I spent an entire day one time. I think it may have been last year. Like, whenever the last big tournament was, maybe it was just last year's Open. And I just remember looking up videos about, like, Europe and all these, and, like, in different types of sports that I really don't know about. And hurling came up. And I watched, like, an hour-long video of highlights. And I could not believe that that they're able to walk off that field with their legs and their hands. I mean, they're taking full swings with the heaviest clubs you've ever seen, and with no regard to, like, human life at all.
No, and that stick, it'll slide down your opponent's stick and hit you in the knuckles.
It's insane.
They don't wear padding, they don't wear gloves.
No.
And most of them have teeth.
Which is remarkable to me.
What is the goal? What's the goal of the sport? Yeah, because I've watched it before, and I've watched an hour, and I couldn't tell you anything that I watched, but I enjoyed it.
It's basically if rugby posts.
Okay.
It would be American football posts if they came all the way to the ground. It's got that, and if you hit it underneath the bar and into the goal, it's 3 points, and if you hit it over the bar, like a field goal, it's 1 point.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, it's like field hockey and rugby combined.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's very similar with a ball that's a little bigger than a baseball and pretty much just as hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when it did come to the States, and it was in order to kind of capture, obviously, because we're several hours behind, that it was pretty early in the morning, or maybe it was late morning, but it was in the morning. I remember we were hungover as hell, woke up, turned it on. We were like, holy shit, what is happening to our brains right now?
Well, the All-Ireland final used to be played at a place called Croke Park, and they would put 110,000 people in there.
What?
Yeah, and just wild, absolutely wild. No drinking, of course.
No, obviously not.
No, never.
So last year at the Open, it was incredibly baked out. It was firm and dry. Having been there relatively recently, what are the conditions? What are they like kind of seasonally this year?
Well, that's the one thing about the Open is that there's nothing artificial about it. The RNA will allow the golf course to play the way it's playing. Given the weather that spring and summer, they've had I would say a pretty normal spring and summer, and it's the very northeast of the island, and they call it the Irish Sea. It's essentially the Arctic Ocean,
Right.
It's there isn't a divot on the place. It's beautifully smooth, the fairways, and I suspect if it's the sort of golf course where if it plays longer, it'll be easier because the fairways are easier to hit. They play wider. If it gets windy and dries out, any good luck, boys. Wear a helmet.
We can plug a little bit of the NBC coverage, because looking at some of the pictures, I imagine that the imagery will be off the charts from this place.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Dunluce Castle is there, been there since I think the 12th century. And there's the legend is that part of the dining room and kitchen fell into the sea during a party.
Must have been a good time.
A lot of the guests were in the kitchen at the time, which is, of course, the best place to be at any party. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you get the Giant's Causeway. The story of the Giant's Causeway, there were two giants, an Irish giant called Finn McCool, and there's a Scottish giant whose name I can't remember, but he was a little pissed off that Finn McCool was supposed to be bigger than him. And he came across on the Giant's Causeway from Scotland because the water wasn't deep enough to, he could walk all the way across. And Finn McCool, his wife, saw the size of this guy and decided that Finn should hide in the stroller, the baby's crib. And he hid, and when the Scottish giant took a look at him and thought, well, if that's his baby, holy shit, I don't need to be here, and he went back to Scotland. So.
What a story.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a tale. So Matthew Wolff, just his third professional start on the tour, wins this past weekend. How would you describe his golf swing?
It looks like he's been tased by a state trooper, basically. Yeah, and what a talent. George Jenkins, I think, is his coach. Very unusual character as well. It goes very well with Matthew. He's a force to be reckoned with, I think, in the coming years. He really is. He's very confident. He's got a great attitude, and he's just comfortable in his own space. Which is very fortunate because it looks pretty damn uncomfortable to me.
Is there anything that the average kind of weekend golfer can take from his swing?
Yeah, I think they can. If you make a swing that's comfortable to you and see where the ball goes, that's really the trick in golf. Because very few people actually ever make a comfortable swing. There's always 17 minor adjustments on the downswing because you think, well, that doesn't feel right. Well, so people never really pay any attention to what it does feel like, and you make a lovely, comfortable practice swing, and then, you get over the ball and everything moves except your bowels. So, make that nice, comfortable practice swing, let the ball get in the way and see where it goes. I think you'd be very surprised.
I like that because, the more and more that we play and the more people that we meet, I'm getting tips from all these different people. And all I think about when I'm over the ball is what I'm supposed to do and
Yes.
where my hands are supposed to be. And
Yeah.
I'm a mental nightmare now.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not just when I am, they're all nodding their heads because they know if I played a Royal Portrush, it still wouldn't have any divots because I just scooped the ball like you wouldn't believe. I could play that entire 18 holes and you would never see remnants of me ever playing once.
Right.
Except for maybe glass houses around, they'd all be shattered. But yeah, I think that I'm going to start going to the range and I'm just going to swing comfortably, and wherever that ball goes, I can make adjustments off of that. I actually thought
Yes.
about that last night, just thinking about my swing. I'm just going to start swinging freely.
Yeah, it's not the players who know where the club should be that make money. It's the players who know where the club head is.
Love it.
Wow.
That was deep.
That's a mic drop.
Everybody had to think about that for a second. Like, all right, let me play that on my head.
Bonga.
Speaking of players who know where the club face is and should be, Tiger Woods winning the Masters. Where does that rank in terms of major golf moments for you?
Well, I think along with Hogan, was it 49? When he came back from the car accident, it has to rank. It might be the greatest comeback in the history of sports. It's certainly, it ranks up there. When you consider what he's been through, some of it self-inflicted, some of it not, some of which we did to him, just wearing him down, and with the surgeries and the physical and emotional, mental, injuries, the whole lot. For him to come back and be able to do that is just an indication of the strength of will that he has, and the only mistakes I've ever made about Tiger Woods are the times when I've underestimated him.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him in the shake-up.
Yeah. Do you think you like his game at Royal Portrush?
I like his game everywhere. Mm-hmm. Everywhere. Although he's typically not a great bad weather player, but that's me underestimating him again.
What do you think about Brooks Koepka? Sort of this narrative coming up that he really only seems to care about the major championships. He has unbelievable finishes for the last 2 years in all the major championships, and then a lot of the the regular PGA Tour events. The last couple that he's played in the Travelers and the 3M Open, it's pretty nonchalant, somewhere around 50th. Any thought to kind of him putting extra?
It happened all of a sudden with him too. Something clicked, and it's one of those things where he just got a little bit of confidence, and it's in his character. Where he got it into his head. That hey, I'm really good at this, and he's stayed in that mindset. He's a tremendously strong young man, and both physically and mentally, and. Although it's a golf course, Royal Portrush is that won't particularly suit someone who hits it a very long way. You really will need to hit fairways. The rough there is mind-bending in places. There are stinging nettles, there are thorns, blackberries, things that you just don't normally see on a golf course, where, you could tear your sack, if you get in there deep.
What was that first one?
Stinging nettles?
Yeah.
Stinging nettles.
There's some of
Stinging
those
nettles.
in Rhode Island, actually.
Yeah,
I found myself in those things.
you don't want to
They're
brush
terrible.
up against them.
Okay.
Have you heard the expression to grasp the nettle?
No.
No. Well, if you grab it like that, it won't sting you. But if you brush up against it, it will, because it's got these tiny little barbs
Yeah.
on it that you can crush, well, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you hit them gently, and it's not pleasant.
That all sounds horrifying.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
those are
horrible.
bad.
Every bit of that.
If you're in stinging nettles, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's what
I
it
found
sounds
myself
like.
in that
Yes.
exact situation.
Wow.
What else over there is some crazy stuff that we might find?
They've got some big jackrabbits out there, but most of them will have left the premises because of the the crowd. The infrastructure, the build out to the tournament is unlike anything I've seen. The canyon that they walk into at the last, even though the clubhouse isn't behind as it usually is at an open, it's a huge semicircular series of bleachers. That I don't know how many people it holds. I'm sure it's at least 15,000. Right. But it'll be, the atmosphere will be crackling, and they're just so starved over there of world-class golf. I mean, this is the biggest sporting event that's ever been held on the island. So I mean, it's difficult for me to describe just how excited people are. I got the hair standing up on the back of my neck just thinking about it. I can't wait for it. I'm very proud of it.
You're getting me jacked up talking about it.
The way you talk about it in your voice is super cool, because you can tell how proud you are of it coming back, and just what it's going to be over the next couple of weeks for you. I'm sure your family and friends that are back there, and how neat everybody is.
Very
excited
special.
About it. Very cool.
So Tiger just posted a video that he's waking up at 1 a.m. to prepare. What kind of preparation does David Feherty do to get ready?
Well, I take a piss about 6 times a night. 2 of them in the toilet, and
there you go.
Yeah. So getting up early doesn't bother me. I don't sleep particularly well, and I go to Scotland tonight. So I'll be there for a week, and I'll be well used to the time change by that anyway.
Yeah. What does your week start to look like? How early are you getting up? Are you walking the course at certain times? What does your preparation look like once the week starts?
Yeah. We'll be staying at Grey Walls. The NBC crew is staying at Grey Walls, which is the hotel right behind Muirfield Golf Club. It's just about 20 minutes away from the golf course that we're playing. So we're we'll have parts or members of the crew trying to sneak out there, and no doubt we'll get kicked off. It's one of the snootiest golf clubs in the world, Muirfield. But my preparation is essentially, coming to see you guys.
Yikes!
And, because my strength, if I have one, is just describing what I see in front of me. I don't really, to be honest with you, prepare much. My job is in real time. It's a little nap, followed by hopefully
energy up. Yeah,
perfect. You said you can't sleep very well. What does David Feherty do when he's lying up in bed? Do you scroll your phone? You watch movies? What do you do to pass the time along?
I watch Live PD.
Oh.
That's an incredible show.
It is. It's incredible. It's an astonishing the amount of douchebags our cops have to deal with.
Unbelievable.
It really is. Amazing. Amazing what they have to put up with, and it gives you a tremendous sense, I think, of how lucky we are to have them.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't it insane that that's not scripted? It's just they turn a camera on
and they just jump from place to place. It's really something.
Oh yeah.
Are we talking about cops, or is this a new show?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
it's live.
You said live PD.
Where have you been?
Yeah, no, I was just making sure. The show I know is called Cops. Not
No,
live
it's
PD.
called Live PD. There's like
a better live version
of it. There's like a headquarters, and they'll kick it out to people live.
Yeah, there's 30 feeds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Going out, police departments all around the country.
I don't think we'll have this on Sling TV, but we'll give it a shot.
And nobody has a driver's license. If they do, it's been suspended. Everybody is smoking.
Yeah.
And they're always on the cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that relaxes you when you're resting in bed to go to sleep, or is
women. There are women on that show that have no business wearing spandex. No business.
Yeah.
It's so good. Live PD is
such good
so
entertainment.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome.
Well, David Feherty, we appreciate you coming in once again. NBC will be all over the coverage, NBC Golf Channel, for the Open Championship, Royal Portrush. And like we said earlier, I mean, you can tell in your voice and just talking about how excited you are, which gets everybody else excited about it. So,
Well, thanks, guys. It's nice to be back with you.
Well, speaking of his voice, before he ends here, we got to ask him to say that line that we heard Rory McIlroy say, because he has, the Northern Irish accent. We were at the PGA Championship, and we were walking around. We're being idiots. We're hearing everything we can hear. And we heard Rory say to his state trooper that was walking with him, we heard him say, "No coat today, eh?" Or "No coat today."
No coat today.
And we tried to explain to our friends what Rory had said, and we couldn't do it in your accent. We just couldn't do it.
No coat today, eh?
We've been looking
exactly
for that.
what Rory. That's
months.
exactly
We've been
how
looking
it's
for that.
I can't tell you how stupid we sounded walking around Bethpage Black saying "no coat today." Eh?
It's a different A from your Canadian A.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be what it is.
Yeah, it's quite different.
All right, well, thanks.
We got
Your Canadian A is more of a E.
I can go to sleep now and I don't have to watch live PD.
Yeah.
David Feherty, thanks again for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.